I, 34 male, never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am, wondering if I just destroyed my relationship with my entire family over what many are calling not my business. My brother Mike, 32 male, has been with his fiancée Olivia, 31 female, for about 5 years. On the surface, they seemed like the perfect couple. Successful, attractive, always smiling in photos. Olivia is honestly one of the sweetest people I've ever met. She's kind, thoughtful, and has gone out of her way to become part of our family, even when some members, particularly my mother, didn't make it easy for her. Olivia works as a pediatric nurse, volunteers at an animal shelter, and always remembers everyone's birthdays with thoughtful, personalized gifts. She's the type of person who brings soup when you're sick without being asked, and offers to drive you to the airport at ungodly hours. The problem? Mike has been cheating on her almost since day one, and I've known about it for most of their relationship. I found out about 3 years ago when I accidentally saw texts on his phone while he was showing me something. He was trying to show me photos from a camping trip, but a message popped up with an explicit photo and suggestive text from someone named Jessica. I confronted him privately later that evening, and instead of showing any remorse, he laughed it off. "It's not a big deal," he said. "Olivia's too dumb to find out. Besides, men aren't built for monogamy." It's biology, bro. I was disgusted, but he swore it was just a one-time thing and promised he'd end it. Like an idiot, I believed him and kept his secret. I didn't want to be the one to blow up his relationship, and part of me hoped it really was a momentary lapse in judgment that wouldn't happen again. Over the next few years, I caught him multiple times with different women. Once at a work function where he brought someone who definitely wasn't Olivia. Another time, I saw him at a restaurant downtown with his hand on another woman's thigh. Each time, I confronted him, and each time, he'd make excuses or promises he never kept. "It's just physical," he'd say, or "Olivia and I were going through a rough patch," or my personal favorite, "What she doesn't know won't hurt her." The worst part was how he'd talk about Olivia when she wasn't around, calling her naive, saying she was convenient because she had a good job and took care of him. He even bragged to our cousins at a family reunion about how he had the perfect setup because Olivia was too stupid to check his phone and too insecure to leave even if she found out. I tried to distance myself from Mike, but family events made that difficult. We come from a tight-knit family where Sunday dinners and holidays are mandatory attendance. Every time I saw Olivia, the guilt ate at me. She'd talk about their future, their plans for kids, how happy she was to finally be marrying the love of her life. Meanwhile, I knew my brother was texting other women under the table, literally during these conversations. My sister noticed my discomfort and cornered me one day. After some prodding, I told her everything. Unlike me, she wanted to tell Olivia immediately, but I convinced her to let me handle it. I promised I'd talk to Mike one more time and make him come clean. That conversation went about as well as you'd expect. He accused me of being jealous of his freedom and said I had no right to judge his lifestyle. When I pointed out that Olivia deserved better, he scoffed and said, "She's getting a ring and financial security. Most women would kill for that deal." Things came to a head when Olivia asked me to be an usher at their wedding. She pulled me aside at a family dinner, her eyes shining with happiness, and said I'd always been kind to her and she considered me like a brother already. The guilt was overwhelming. I mumbled something about being honored and escaped to the bathroom, where I nearly threw up from the stress. 2 weeks before the wedding, Mike had his bachelor party. I didn't attend because I made up an excuse about work, but the truth was I couldn't stomach celebrating his marriage knowing what I knew. The next day, one of my cousins sent me videos from the party. Mike wasn't just getting lap dances, which might be acceptable at some bachelor parties. He was full-on making out with a stripper and disappeared into a room with her for almost an hour. The cousin who sent the video thought it was hilarious, adding, "Classic Mike, right?" as if this behavior was something to be proud of. That was my breaking point. I realized that not only was Mike never going to change, but he had surrounded himself with people who enabled and even celebrated his behavior. I wrestled with what to do for days. The wedding was approaching fast. Olivia's family had flown in from across the country. Her parents had spent tens of thousands of dollars on the venue, catering, flowers, and all the other expenses that come with a large wedding. I knew that if I spoke up, I would be causing immediate pain and chaos, but if I stayed silent, I would be allowing Olivia to enter a marriage based on lies. The day before the wedding, I asked Olivia to meet me for coffee. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my cup. I told her everything. The cheating, the things Mike had said about her, the bachelor party. I showed her the videos my cousin had sent me and screenshots of texts Mike had accidentally sent me meant for other women. I had accumulated quite a collection over the years, though I never intended to use them this way. Olivia didn't cry, at least not at first. She just sat there, completely still, her face blank. Then she asked me in the calmest voice why I hadn't told her sooner. I had no good answer. I mumbled something about family loyalty and not wanting to get involved. "You were involved the moment you knew," she said. She stood up, gathered her purse and jacket, and added, "Thank you for finally being honest. I need to go make some calls." Then she left. That night, all hell broke loose. Mike called me, screaming that Olivia had called off the wedding. He was incoherent with rage, alternating between threatening me and breaking down in tears, claiming he would change, that he really did love her. My parents showed up at my apartment unannounced, my mother in tears, my father barely containing his rage. How could I do this to my own brother? Why didn't I mind my own business? Didn't I know how humiliating this would be for the family? What about all the money that had been spent? My father even suggested I should pay them back for the non-refundable deposits. No one, not one person, expressed concern for what Mike had done or what Olivia was going through. The betrayal she felt, the humiliation of canceling a wedding at the last minute, the explanations she would have to give to her friends and family, none of that seemed to matter to my family. They were solely focused on Mike as the victim and me as the villain. The wedding was formally canceled the next morning. Olivia sent a dignified email to all the guests explaining that circumstances have come to light that made it impossible for her to proceed with the marriage. She apologized for the inconvenience and thanked everyone for their understanding. Her parents were understanding, from what I heard. Apparently, she had suspected something but had been gaslighted by Mike whenever she brought up concerns. Finding out she wasn't crazy or paranoid was almost a relief. It's been 3 weeks now. Mike is still telling anyone who will listen that I ruined his life out of jealousy. He claims I've always been envious of his success with women and that I made up lies about him to Olivia because I secretly wanted her for myself. My parents have barely spoken to me. When they do call, it's to inform me about which family members are no longer speaking to me or to pressure me to apologize to Mike. Extended family members have taken sides, with most blaming me for not keeping my mouth shut. Only my sister and one cousin have supported me, saying Olivia deserved to know the truth before legally binding herself to a cheater. Olivia sent me a text a week after everything happened. It was brief but said she was grateful for the truth, no matter how painful. She's already moved out of the home she shared with Mike and is staying with her parents while she figures out next steps. She mentioned that she'd discovered even more evidence of his infidelity once she started looking for it, which only confirmed that she made the right decision. My mother has started sending me links to articles about forgiveness and the importance of family. My father says I should apologize to Mike and help him win her back because men make mistakes. My brother has threatened to cut me out of his life completely if I don't recant my lies to Olivia, which honestly feels more like a relief than a punishment. The tension has affected every aspect of our family dynamic. The Sunday dinners that were once mandatory are now awkward affairs that I've stopped attending. Part of me understands their perspective. In their eyes, I chose an outsider over blood. I aired family dirty laundry. I ruined what should have been a happy occasion. But I keep coming back to the simple truth. Olivia deserved to know who she was really marrying. She deserved the chance to make an informed decision about her life. And Mike's behavior was never going to change as long as everyone around him kept enabling it. So, Reddit. Am I the a-hole? Did I ruin my brother's life over something that wasn't my business? Should I have kept my mouth shut and let Olivia marry a man who had no intention of being faithful to her? Or did I do the right thing by telling her the truth, even if the timing couldn't have been worse?